playbook. So I found a couple of plays that caught my eye today. One in particular here is Grubhub. I like the pattern that is setting here for a potential move lower in the days to follow, potentially to close this gap. So I think I am going to take Grubhub short at the end of the day here, with an expectation that we will close this gap. I like where the RSI is for definitely a red candle for the tomorrow. You can see here, if this candle actually ends up closing in the red, it'll actually form a black candle slash evening star, as you can see here. So perfect little doji with massive wicks on both sides. But because it's having such a hard time after this gap, and as you can see here, it's hitting some major resistance here and failing to actually stay above it, I'm going to go ahead and take this short. And I will do the 77s at 2.9. I'm gonna try to get these filled at a better entry. So we do GRUB, and I'm gonna try to enter these right at the end of the day, 250 or something like that. So I know I'm gonna target the 77 strikes, and I'm targeting the close of the gap at around 73 to 72. So this is one I'm gonna put in today based on the pattern that is set here. GRUB moves about $2.50 per day. I needed to move down to 72, so it needs just about 2 days. But tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm probably gonna still use next week's just in case it just moves a little bit at a time. So long as it stays below 76 tomorrow, I'll be happy with this. If it fails to gap down and continue to go lower, or just go lower in the morning, then I will exit the trade because it's not going to be working out. I need this to gap down and move down. I don't need it to gap up and move up or just stay sideways. This needs to work right away. So if it doesn't gap down tomorrow, I'm just going to get out of it. So this is one. Another one today that I put out earlier for the box-in traders was AGN. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. And AGN has a nice, beautiful black candle. If you guys are not familiar, gaps up, sells off for the day. AGN is a little tough here because obviously it's setting new highs here. Let's take a look. Let's just zoom out on the daily here. Okay, so it's not a new high. It jumped up, hit resistance here, so you can see here, and it sold off from there. So if you zoom out and you go out to you see that at 170 is a resistance level. So where can we expect it to come back to at this point? So it hit resistance, and now it's between that resistance and that support. Next level of support looks like to be 160, so $3 away, followed by 154 to 147 area there. Okay. So I'm going to target that this may hit down to 151, the 200 MA. So basically wherever the 200 MA is. And it needs about 163 right now. It needs 152. So it needs about a month. Man, this is a slow mover. So I'll probably do this one as a spread, a core vertical spread. I'll collect some money. And obviously as long as it stays below 168, that'll be the play. And actually, let me double check that it has options. It does. All right, so it needs a month, so I'll do the July 19th, which is less than a month, but July 19th. What can we do? I'll do them closer to at the money, sell vertical. Let's see what we can get for those. All right, we can get $1.41 for those. That's not bad. I'll do those, and again, my stop is for those would be a close above 168, being where they are now. So again, I'll put these in closer to the end of the day, and we'll see where they open up tomorrow morning. Again, failure to gap down is a failure of the strategy in itself. So AGN. All right, AGN, we're looking at 165, 170 spread. All right, call spread. All right, because we are expecting this to head lower. Okay. All right, what's going on next? All right, right now I'm just going to go over my personal watch list here. I found a bunch of other stuff that set up black candles and everything. Today we had an awesome move to the downside. I personally stayed out because of the rules of the trading plan. If you guys are familiar, pretty much today we opened in the no trade zone. So I just did not want to risk it. Even though we had an awesome move, we had great moves on things right around 10:30, 10:40 time frame. Things just started to break down today. So because we didn't get those breakdowns earlier in the morning, that's the reason I stayed out. Just because I don't know which way the market is going to break down at 10:30 anymore. Since it didn't break out based on my rules, I just stayed out and I'll live to trade another day. So today we had Shopify, Netflix, Amazon, just about everything had a massive breakdown today. Awesome breakdown. Looking at Shopify here though, it looks awesome on the RSI. The RSI right now is at 7.6, below 10. So I could almost guarantee that tomorrow's candle on Shopify is going to be a green candle. The only issue is I would not want to get into Shopify here because it could gap down and then rally. So in the morning, I'd probably say that this thing may open up down here. It could potentially open down at the 50 MA and then bounce off of there and rally higher. But it's not in a condition where I would want to jump into it here. I know on the last video, we had an opportunity to actually catch this continuation here and took advantage of this gap. But that was yesterday, not today. Today, the RSI is telling me, hey, man, this thing could easily gap up at the open before continuing lower. So that's why I'm not going to trade it. So this thing, if it gaps up, it could gap up, pulling the RSI out of that oversold area and then continue the move lower. Or it could gap down and then definitely give you a green candle before continuing the move lower. So it's just one of those things, but it's definitely going to remain on my watch list. I actually had called that this was a potential move for today, but because it failed to break out when I needed it to, I just stood out for the day. It just took a little longer than I wanted to. I don't want to wait an hour before things start to break down. I normally want to be in and done by 11, not start trading at 11. Even though we had this beautiful move, it's just rough to kind of predict that because we just don't know. Nobody knows. So looking at the rest of these, Shopify is by far my favorite because I could definitely see it either gapping up or having a definite green candle tomorrow. But it is just a little risky to jump in right now because this is not a reversal pattern. This is more of a continuation candle. But again, the RSI is telling me we are due for a bounce. So the bounce could come after hours and then we may gap open, gap up and then down, or we may gap down and then shoot higher. So it'll just remain on my watch list for tomorrow, and hopefully we have a good opening on the tick as well. Looking at AZO, it's also below 20. It's at 11. For the most part, both of them are low. No reversal patterns recognized here. Tomorrow, this is looking good again for a continuation. This looks more like a continuation bar. It has the potential to be a green bar tomorrow, but I'd say it's likely to continue heading lower more than anything. It may get a spike to bring the RSI out, but I think it still has room to run before we get a green candle, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Looking at Twilio, let's see. Twilio is at the 50 MA, also below 20, looking at about 12 and less, and lower on the regular RSI here. So this one has definitely the potential of being a green candle tomorrow, just because we are at the 50 MA. So this one may definitely bounce off of this point at this point right here. It tried to break lower twice or 3 times today and failed. So this actually may end up having a green candle tomorrow before we head lower. And the next stop on the low side would be 122 to 124 area here. So it is looking good. But the overall trend at this point is, after it hit this new high, is to the downside. But these may present some opportunities. So when this thing bounces higher, some opportunities to start shorting it again on the following day. All right, looking at Melly. Melly again setting up a continuation candle just like it did yesterday. We look like we have a continued possibility here. RSIs are not both beneath 20 or joining together yet, so it looks like it still has continued possibility. Let's see, this one does not like to gap down. It looks like it likes to gap up and then head lower. It does not like to gap down as much as some of the other shows. You can see here, it gaps up, goes down. It gaps up, goes down. So you can expect it to do the same tomorrow. Gap up and then go down before it continuing to move lower to those levels. All right, looking at Google. Google, just like all the other FANGs, had a massive sell-off today. Google was an awesome box in play today. So you can see no wick to the upside at all. So as soon as this thing broke that pivot at 1112, so 1,112, once it broke that pivot, this thing was good to go. And as you can see here, this thing had a massive run today. So all the way from 1115 to 1,087 with no stops in sight. I mean, you probably would never have been stopped out of this thing had you been following the boxing strategy, because this thing just went straight down. And the next target for this is right around here, 1,084. So it's just shy of it. So you can start collecting your profits right at the end of the bell here today, if you would have been playing this today. All right, and looking at Apple, let's take a look at Apple. Beautiful continuation bar here after setting these nice reversal patterns. So you can see they're definitely starting to play out. Next target for Apple is 194, followed by 189 to 190 here at the 200 MA once it meets it here. So this is actually looking good. RSI still has room to run. So let's see, Apple definitely has room. It might actually gap down tomorrow. I'm gonna add this one to my list as well. All right, so I like Apple here for a continued move lower. Let's take a look at Netflix. Netflix is at its 50 MA on the daily. RSI still has room to run. We only have one below 20. The other one is trying to catch up. So it definitely has room to run. But it is at a 50 MA, which is a critical injunction here when looking at the daily. So it may be something to keep an eye on. I would not enter this one as an end of day play here just because of that fact, because I don't know if it will gap down or gap up as it tries to bounce off of that. So I'm going to stay out of Netflix and just watch it for the morning. Next one here is going to be Amazon. Amazon had a great move. So you can see here I had a black candle set up on the 20th, and from then it has just steadily been coming lower and lower and lower. And look at this beautiful move. So from all the way from 1930 now down to 1879. Beautiful, beautiful move for a multi-day swing play. Like I said before, you would have took this thing in 1917 and you would have rode this thing down. The thing is, are you patient enough to withhold, or is your account able to withstand this little wick here to keep you in the trade? You know, if you would have boxed it in here, again, like I said in the last couple videos, day trader with swing intentions. If you take it up here, so long as it stays within your tolerance, you should be able to withhold. Because now you're at 1930, 1935, or the 1940 strikes. You're deep in the money. So even if when it came back here, you're still about $14 in the money. So you should be able to withstand those moves. But look at this. Now, that same strike would be worth, what is that strike worth now? Let's take a look. So the 1940s, let's see, for this week, the 1940s are worth, let's do 1940s are worth $60. So obviously when you got them, they probably were worth around 20 something dollars at the time of purchase. So they pretty much just doubled here, and depending on how heavily you layered in, that would determine how much money you'd be making right now. All right, next one, let's take a look at Adobe. Adobe, beautiful continuation. RSI definitely still has room to run. So this is looking good. And it actually is looking good for a potential gap down. We have room on the 50 MA. We have room on the 200 MA. So this definitely has room. And the next target is this support level here at 274 area and the 50 MA. So this is looking good. I will add this one to my list of ones that I'm potentially going to be taking trades on today. Let's take a look at BKNG. BKNG again. All right, BKNG coming off of the RSI high, still has room to run on the downside. Definitely has room to the downside on the 250 MA. So this is the next target for this one. It's 1814 area. BKNG is rough. I'm not going to enter it at the end of the day, but I am going to watch it tomorrow for a potential entry short. So I'm going to add it to my list. All right, next one, Facebook. Facebook is moving sideways. Unless it breaks this box here on 187, I'm not going to look at Facebook. I mean, I don't really like this. It's just going sideways. But next stop for it would be this 50 MA. Probably we'll hit it at around 185 in the future. Next. All right, looking at BLK. Financials did have a run lower today, but this reversal here at the end of the day, I'm not convinced. I don't like it. But next stop would be the 50 MA if it does continue lower, but it's not one I would be interested in now. Next, ISRG. All right, ISRG is crossing below its 200 MA. Patterns kind of suck here. It looks more like a buy the dip type of scenario, similar to this here. Room to run on the RSI. I don't like it as an end of day play. ILMN, Illumina, ILMN. I don't like it either. ALTA I do like. ALTA is definitely on my list. And I think from my analysis, ALTA still has room to run through the 320 level. As you can see here, RSI yesterday, below 20 on one of them. So it wanted to come out of that level today, and it did. And still at that 50 MA. So it bounced right off of it. So you had two things, the RSI and the 50 MA, which is kind of what I said on, what was it, on Netflix? Why I wouldn't want to take it at the end of the day, because this is what would happen. Yeah, and gap down to the 50 MA when it opened and went down beneath it. But as you can see, it's just not much room, not much wiggle room to actually make money here. So ALTA, I needed to stay below 348 for it to make sense. I don't want to miss the gap down, but it is at the 50 MA. So this one is a little tough to call. But based on what I see here, this has definitely the potential to come down to 320. Stop being a break above 350. But I do actually want it to stay below 348. So I'm going to keep watching it for the end of the day. I'm not sure if I'm going to enter today. I want to see where it closes because I need to stay below that pivot at 348. And I want to see it selling off going into the close more than anything. Instead of actually staying like this. I want to see some sort of a wick up here because what I see here is now it's setting a lower high. A higher low from here to here. You see this? And I don't like that. We have negative divergence on the RSI, but I don't like that it tried to break this and failed twice. We have this little hammer being set here on this sideways action on this 50 MA. So it's a little tough to call, and I'm only going to feel comfortable as long as it stays beneath that pivot and it's actually selling off at the end of the day. AMZN. I don't like it. All right, REGN, nothing. MKL, I don't like it. CMG, moving sideways. Gapped up today. Setting up a nice little black candle here, black candle, and then it sold off. This one actually may be okay. Maybe. I'll keep an eye on CMG. But this one, I would say it has the room to run to 720 from here. But I want to see what it does towards the end of the day, because right now it's just set on the 30-minute, a nice reversal pattern to the upside. So this one may be tricky, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. And let's see, BIIB, nothing here either. All right, so that's pretty much it for the end of day plays and picks. I'll let you guys know what I end up doing on the videos to follow in the next couple of days and how my trades turned out. See you guys in the next one.